Metropolitans, by now you've heard the legend of Roki Sasaki, the highly sought after Japanese pitcher. On today's episode of Mets Digest, we break down the actual opportunity and chance the Mets can sign this individual. Thank you so much for rocking with the channel. My name is Flobo Boyce. You're locked into Mets Digest, your one-stop shop for Mets content all around the world. And we got ourselves a doozy this episode, so strap in. Just gotta say, myself alongside Mike D'Angelo, we work tirelessly to get you the best news and content for the New York Mets. So if you haven't already, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend about it. And I'm getting right into it because people are telling me I do clickbait, which is kind of random if I tell you what I'm talking about 30 seconds in the video. But that said, this episode is not about me. It is about Roki Sasaki, which, if you have been following baseball content the past couple of days, or even a couple of years, he has been on everyone's mind because it looks like there is a lot of interest coming from major league clubs, and the Mets are definitely one of them. And so, as the offseason ramps up, more and more rumors have been swirling about whether or not Roki Sasaki will be able to come to New York. Now, there's a lot of things that have to happen first for that to be a possibility, and we'll break that down on this episode. So if you love hearing about legal hurdles and rules and processes and bylaws, you are in for a treat. But at first, I gotta reference that Jim Bowden article has been circling around from The Athletic, basically listing the top free agents of this year's class and where they're going to land and where he predicts them to land. Excellent work for over there at The Athletic. If you haven't had a chance to interact with that platform, I suggest you do. They do some good work over there. So, about Roki Sasaki, here's what really was the kicker. This one was released about a day and a half ago. By now, your favorite Mets channel has already talked about that, or I should say your second favorite Mets channel, but I really want to drill down on some things here. It's unclear if Roki Sasaki's team in Japan, the Chiba Lotte Marines, will allow him to leave for the MLB this offseason. But with the Marines out of the NPB playoffs, that's Nippon Professional Baseball, we should know soon. If he is coming, he will be the most coveted international free agent, as the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and Diamondbacks all committed significant resources to scout him this month, including sending top executives to see him pitch. How much teams will be willing to offer Sasaki will depend on his medical reports, as he didn't pitch for 2 months in the middle of the year because of his arm troubles, which limited him to 18 games and 11 innings. And so this is where the rumor mill started. I'm actually going to put this on the screen so you can see it clearly. Look at the names of the teams that are in the competition there. The Yankees, Mets, and Dodgers, they have the big pockets. They'll tend to be one of the teams that will always be mentioned for these big international free agent signings. Of course, it's only been a short year ago when the Mets themselves were the finalists in the Yoshinobu Yamamoto sweepstakes. Obviously, one that we lost. But it's the Red Sox, a team that said they were going to go full throttle last year. I was kind of looking for something to galvanize their fan base. And the Diamondbacks. If you guys checked out that McNeil for Jordan Montgomery video this week, and thank you if you had, we know that the ownership over there at Arizona really wants a big splash to turn their fortunes around. They got a taste of what success looked like in 2023, so they're willing to put everything forward. But I love the fact that Mets are in the conversation. Wouldn't have happened 5 years ago with another ownership group. If you know, you know. But the first line is really what made me go, what do you mean? So it's the unclear of a home team, the Chiba Lotte Marines, will allow him to leave for the offseason, because now we have to go into the whole Japanese posting system. The Japanese posting system allows a team to post talent they deem ready to leave, and that's why the MLB teams really can't make any offer until the Japanese teams post them. It's kind of a system that was put in place to prevent MLB teams from poaching top talent and to give a little bit of a thank you for these teams that essentially develop these players going forward. So understanding what that means and what that means for Sasaki, because as we get into a little bit later, he's only 22 years old, which puts another wrench into the process. You see, when you are an international player under the age of 25, it comes with a bit more restrictions, but I'm jumping ahead of myself. Got to give a shout out to those over at Japan Ball. I follow them religiously to get a handle of what's going on. And not only Japanese baseball, but sometimes some of the Korean baseball reporting is pretty on point too. On Sasaki, they go forward and said, Further, it's considered customary for a Japanese player to put together a successful NPB resume, including winning awards, titles, and championships before being asked to be posted. It's always a respect issue. You can't be a rookie being like, I'm done, I need to go to America. The MPB really has this culture of saying you got to earn your spot. Sasaki has yet to accomplish any of these things. Many teams view the posting system as a, quote, reward and are typically free to deny transfers if a player's contributions are deemed inadequate. Also very important to Japanese baseball culture. The Softback Hawks, for instance, maintained a no posting policy and will not even consider it, much to the frustration of stars like Kodai Senga, our Kodai Senga, who had to wait until reaching international free agency eligibility after 9 whole years of service. And that puts so much more things into perspective. Kodai basically had a full-on career before coming to New York and still had to get adjusted to the MLB ways of playing. If I were to speculate, I wonder if that would have been as long of his first season to get adjusted to the MLB if he was able to leave a little bit longer. So, but the thing is, you hear that and you go, well, that's not always the case, right? Like, there's also young players have come over from Japan. What gives? And so I had to do some digging about the international free agent rules. And again, the age of Sasaki comes into play because he's under the age of 25. And so when you're under the age of 25, you do adhere to the international amateur free agency rules. And I'll show you those in a minute. But before I get into that, I just want to say I play Out of the Park Baseball, which is a GM simulation game. And this stuff is fascinating to me. But I can imagine if you're a team, let's say the Diamondbacks or even the Mets, and you're like, man, I want to win now. Having all these rules may seem a bit frustration. So the International Amateur Free Agency and bonus pool money says that basically if you're under the age of 25, each club has a budget that they can use to purchase or your rights to sign you. But it can exceed that budget. And more importantly, on top of that, those teams who are part of the luxury threshold, which the Mets, being the second highest payroll in all of baseball, do have less money to work with. So if Sasaki was 25 years old and he was posted, he'll be able to fetch a little bit more money, much like how Yoshinobu Yamamoto did with the Dodgers last season. If not, he'll essentially would have to be signed to a minor league deal to be able to leave early between the ages of 22 and 25. This is what Shohei Ohtani did in Los Angeles. Los Angeles was the Angels basically signed him as a minor league talent, basically had Shohei for pennies and beans until Shohei reached MLB free agency and he got his bag that frankly he deserved with the Dodgers. So if you sign a talent with the international rules, that would probably benefit the team, the MLB team, because you get someone who's basically overperforming at their salary level. But it all comes down to posting. Do Sasaki's team deem him worthy enough or reward enough to post him? If they don't put him on the block to even be scouted or even to be signed, this whole thing becomes moot. But of course, I can't ask you what would you do if you were the Lotte Marines. Of course, I would say send him over to Queens, send him over to New York. But there's a lot of hoops that have to jump. The question is, though, is Sasaki's numbers, and I can actually tell you those right here, thanks to Baseball Reference for their fantastic work. I use them all the time. 2.35 ERA, 10.5 strikeout over 9, 4.03 strikeouts over walks, and a 1.036 whip. Are those numbers that are worth the struggle, worth the trying process to sign Sasaki? That's a question I want you to tell me in the comments below. We've talked about the Mets need pitching. You've said plenty of times in the comments below the Mets need pitching. Here's an opportunity to really sign someone who is young and someone who's willing to produce, and for really cheap if he has to go through the international amateur free agency and bonus pool money way of being signed to a major league team. Again, Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees will always be in the conversation, and with the Red Sox and the Diamondbacks in it too, you know if he is posted, it's going to be a free-for-all. Let us know in the comments below about the whole process, what you think about the idea of the posting system, anything. I would like to read all comments, positive and negative. I like to address them as well in the comments. You see me at Flobo Boyce. That's actually me. I'm usually doing one of this, wearing a flamingo shirt. All right. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. And of course, until next time, it's LGM to the bitter end.